Now, more Met Police controversy as officers were filmed standing by while pro-Palestine protesters scaled a war memorial in Hyde Park last night. The video prompted a huge backlash on social media and from politicians. Rishi Sunak described the behaviour as an affront to our armed forces. And the Veterans Minister, Johnny Mercer, said, "Let's see these thugs dishonouring our war dead in handcuffs." The force released a statement expressing regret for the way officers handled the incident, but claimed there is no law that makes it illegal to climb a memorial.
It is not illegal to climb onto a statue. I think that might be something that government may consider, but that's for them to decide, not for me. The officer recognised that whilst it wasn't illegal, it was sort of it was unfortunate, inflammatory in certain ways. The officers at the scene asked them to get down and they did. What the officer didn't do last night is make up a law that it's illegal to do something and do an arrest, which would have been illegal, clearly.
Well, particularly controversial moments from the protests saw activists surrounding the car of an elderly couple and a demonstrator holding an offensive banner comparing Western leaders to Adolf Hitler. Now, this won't be the end of it, as there's more than 150 pro-Palestine marches set to take place across the country this weekend. The new Home Secretary, James Cleverly, has promised to review the legislation around public order policing. Speaking to officers today, he implied he wouldn't be taking the same approach as his predecessor, Suella Braverman, who publicly criticised the Met during her last week in office.
I will be critical if I think you need to be critical, but I will always attempt to do so professionally, calmly, directly, so that we always maintain that professional working relationship. My instinct is always to praise in public, to criticise in private.
Well, personally, I do prefer the cut of James Cleverly's jib than I did to Suella Braverman. I like the, I'll praise in public and I'll criticise in private, and I like the slightly more grown-up, calm, collected manner of him, but we'll wait and see whether he can actually deliver. Because just because
there today.
Well, exactly. No, but I mean he's clearly trying to set himself apart in tone and in manner. But as you quite rightly say as well, he's only been there what feels like 2 minutes. So we'll wait and see. On the issue of the protesters last night, clearly it's pretty disgusting. It was disrespectful. It was going to, go down very, very badly. And my hope is, rather like the Just Stop Oil protesters or anyone else, that they, if they haven't already, they will lose the room. They will lose any public sympathy that they might have without the police resorting to heavy-handed tactics. Because I have sympathy with Mark Rowley there, saying there's no law against climbing any sort of statue or monument at the moment. So if the police had climbed after them and pulled them down and arrested them, the police would have been in the wrong. And I have an instinctive disapproval of any sort of knee-jerk legislation. We've seen that happen before when the public has been cross or upset about something, politicians think, I've got to do something, I've got to bring in a piece of legislation that will probably be badly thought through, badly executed and regretted at leisure. So whilst last night, while those scenes are horrible, I don't personally want to see new legislation brought in off the back of them.
I mean, I don't share your optimism about... I think they probably will eventually lose the room. The question is, what is the damage that is done between now and when that happens, and what has to happen for them properly to lose the room? And I think what we're seeing here is the emboldening of these protesters. They have been shown and told by the inaction of the combination of the Home Secretary and the police that they can get away with an awful lot. And my worry is that this is not actually dying away, it is escalating. And it may not be that the demonstrations that we come to see over the next few days and weeks are on anything like the scale of what we saw last weekend. And once again, it's not that it was OK for EDL people and other assorted anarchic thugs to do what they did. All that kind of thuggery was awful. But what I worry about is, whilst there may not be quite such big crowds, it gets whittled down to a hardcore who continue to do this, and they keep on raising the stakes, very much a la Just Stop Oil.
But the thing is, though, that we're coming back to that point about statues, and I was just thinking the problem is if you do it is illegal to get onto any statue. I'm thinking of, there are statues up and down this country where you go, well, kids or people who are high-spirited might go on them, like the lions, for example, in the square at Nottingham, and you just go, no, I know, but I'm just saying there will be those ones where it's, is it or isn't it? And also, I agree. I just think that, it's not illegal. Let's not make things illegal just because of the fact that, let's not close down society because of the fact that people are, and there will be many people who are saying, naturally, very angry about what is going on in Palestine. And you look at the figures, and even if you don't actually accept the figures from Hamas, because, of course, with them being, more related to ISIS and Al-Qaeda than anything else, you have to take the numbers with a pinch of salt. But we are talking about thousands dead. We are talking about
it's
a
million
million
dispossessed. It's not in the gift of our government.
No,
you can be angry all you like about the world's problems, but you've got to demonstrate against things that our government can change.
Well, do you? I mean, people are allowed to demonstrate about whatever they want, as long as they're not breaking the law and as long as it's peaceful. Now, obviously, we can all see that some of these scenes are neither of those things, but it doesn't have to be something that's within the legislative power of the government.
Just being angry over world problems is not an excuse for desecrating or being very disrespectful to our national monuments. I don't think that that's a foundation for that.
So there's been lots of talk about there being two-tier policing, and this being another example of it, apparently, which I disagree with, because with the we'll say football hooligans, for lack of a better term. The problem with them is they went down looking for a fight. When the police tried to stop them from going towards the cenotaph, they reacted by using violence. And that's the part that's against the law. These protesters were told by the police, get down, please. And everyone's saying the police begged them and spoke to them nicely. Fine, but they did get down. And when they got down, they didn't then start throwing punches at the police.
Yeah.
If you remember back in 2011, David Gilmour, the Pink Floyd guitarist, his son, swinging off the cenotaph with the Union flag.
He went to prison.
He went to prison.
He got 16 months.
16 months, but it wasn't for swinging off the cenotaph. He actually went to prison because of he was inciting violence and violent disorder and chaos. It wasn't for swinging across the statues. So that just proves that actually there is no law against it. It's like people can do it. It's disrespectful. Absolutely.
No, but this is, as far as I'm concerned, this is that racism would be the wrong word, but it's certainly insightful. It's inciting a response. It is.
It's antisocial behaviour, isn't it? I mean,
it's
surely it's
if nothing else, it's
antisocial
antisocial
behaviour.
Let's walk over a load of poppies, which they did first because of we're just out of Remembrance Weekend. Then they selected this target. They selected this. They didn't just go, let's climb up a tree.
Right.
They deliberately went for a war memorial. Let's call it what it is. There's 150. This is out of control now. If it was any other situation, it would be laughable. This is an anti-West protest. It's an anti-Israel protest. It's an anti-Jew protest. These people, they don't look like peace protesters to me. These look like people who simply hate the West. They hate our systems. They hate our governments. They hate the United Kingdom, the United States, that triangle we talked about yesterday. That's what this is about. So when I see these half-wits climbing up a memorial, and in many other countries, the police would just walk up there and kick them off. So I'm glad we don't have that kind of response. But what we do have seems to be a tacit green light to this kind of behaviour.
That's a problem.
And that's what is happening.
So in Scotland, there is a law called the breach of the peace, and that's a good catch-all. You can just be charged with a breach of the peace for, a scuffle on a Saturday night outside the pub, or something like that, which I think would probably quite easily
public order effects,
qualify as a breach
which I
of the
think
peace.
In this respect,
Peace
that could that have kicked off into something else? Yes,
completely.
Is the answer. The fact that it didn't is just luck. If the wrong amount of people have responded to that,
there were very close shaves last night. I mean, there was a reporter there who had security with them, and they were roundly abused and taunted, and people were chanting at that reporter.
They were from a very, very right-wing broadcaster, and
they're not very right-wing.
Well, they are. They shouldn't have been there.
JJ, you know that. We're not going to have a discussion about rival broadcasters.
Well, listen, you're the one bringing it up. I'm saying
I didn't bring up the broadcaster in particular. I said it was a reporter.
Right, but it wasn't a reporter from
doesn't matter
the
who
Express
it was
and Star.
from.
It does matter.
It's a
Of course it matters. No, it does matter.
A journalist.
Okay, of course it matters.
No, but it's not something that no journalist should be attacked at a protest.
You think it's okay to attack them because they're from a
I don't think it's okay to attack them.
But also
what I think is you're taking a right-leaning journalist going across to a left-leaning protest. they're not going to be welcoming to that.
That's ridiculous.
No, it's not ridiculous.
I thought,
JJ,
these guys
police
were protesting for peace.
And also the police's job there is to make sure that no laws are broken. So if a reporter or anybody else like this, elderly couple who are in the car, if they're feeling threatened, if they're feeling, in danger, then it's clearly up to the police to step in and arrest anybody for breaking the law. My only point at the beginning was, I'm unsure about bringing in a new law that says you mustn't climb on a memorial. But if you are shouting offensive, racist, hate-filled slogans, if you are threatening people, if you are making people fear for their lives, we can see that then clearly they should be arrested.
But this couple, from everything I've read, I've not seen anything from this couple saying we felt endangered. It's everyone else. So the commentators look at the pictures and they're saying they were in danger, but the couple themselves haven't come out and said anything about it.
What do you think if I went to that protest then? Do you think it'd be OK for people to surround me and chant at me and be abusive and tell me to go home?
I think it depends on what publication you're coming from. Genuinely, I do.
Wow.
Genuinely, I do.
That's really interesting.
But surely the right of the press to go and report on things should be is one of the tenets of
Telegraph.
And we're talking about a conflict. We're talking about a conflict where the press aren't even allowed to go to. So it's double standards then, isn't it?
And there is just a final point on the nature of the protest, the sort of left-wing versus right-wing. Some of the people that are out there protesting and talking up the praises of this amazing democracies in the Middle East are anything but left-wing. I mean, if you translated their politics into their views on women or sexuality,
it's not very left.
It really is not.
Well, that's certainly. I think the one thing the five of us can agree on is that we all value freedom of speech.